everyone. This is Kyla from the Tomball Library, and I'm here back with you for another edition of Community Conversations. And today I'm talking to Michelle Bundy from the Tomball Farmers Market. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm doing well on this Monday morning.
Very good. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
So tell me just a little bit about the Tomball Farmers Market, the history and your role there kind of along the way.
Sure. So the Tomball Farmers Market started back in 2008. So it's been going for a very long time now. The Tomball community has been very supportive of us, which has been instrumental in the farmers market's success. But we started off with about 6 vendors in the field on Cherry Street and Main Street, and now we've grown to on your typical Saturday, not during a pandemic, we'll have about 65 vendors. Right now we can sustain 45, but we have up to 81 spaces now for growth. So we've grown exponentially over the years, and we've just become a destination in downtown Tomball for people to enjoy their Saturday. And we strive to be family friendly and pet friendly so that people can just come and be outdoors and shop local, and then go and support the other businesses. So my role in the organization is, started off as a patron. I would loyally shop in the rain or shine, and get my veggies from Pease Farm at the very beginning. And then I became a volunteer. Then I worked on the social media side of things. Then I got on the board. I became president of the board, and now I'm the executive director of the nonprofit. So I've pretty much been in every role you could have.
Right? Wow, that's very cool. And how long have you been there? Since the very beginning, or almost?
I've been a patron since the beginning. I started becoming a volunteer back in 2010.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Very good. So about how many of the vendors offer produce, and then, versus other products?
Sure. So it depends if we're talking during the pandemic or pre-pandemic, but
Yeah.
I'll answer both. So right now we have about 6 to 7 produce vendors, and it just depends on the day, really, because summer is really difficult for produce, especially for some of our hydroponic farmers. A lot of people don't think that, they don't think about hydroponic farmers in the summer, but in those enclosed farming, sometimes they have tents, sometimes they have, just containers they built, just buildings, but they get very hot. And so sometimes that will kill off their produce. Sometimes they'll have a lot of pest problems. If they're cooled, sometimes the pests run inside and overtake everything. So summertime can be great, and it can be, less than great. But on an average farmers market day, we have 25 farmers.
Okay.
And that looks different across the board. So, you might consider an olive vendor produce, because olives are produce. But he grinds up his olives and makes it into olive oil. So you wouldn't really see him as a produce vendor, but he is a farmer. And then we have another farmer that's very unique. He does have a little bit of produce on his table, but he is a classically trained chef. So what he does is he creates something once a week that's different, and he uses what he grows to make just one thing, one dish to sell. And then he'll have just a little bit of produce on the side. So just produce in different ways. Some people can it, because it lasts longer, and they don't know about right now. So But on average right now we have about 6 to 7.
Wow, that's very cool. I didn't think about all those different forms of produce, I guess you will, if you
Oh
will.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, and then you have honey farmers too, which is not, I mean, it's going outside the scope of produce there, but
Yeah.
you have, like I said, if we go into other type of farmers, we have about 14 to 15 right now on site. So
Okay. Very
yeah.
good. And I understand that you mentioned that you had made some extra different measures just to keep everybody safe, all the customers and the vendors and everybody safe in terms of that spacing and stuff. You want to tell us just a little bit about that?
Sure. So one of the things that we have done, which has been very difficult for our vendors, but we've required all of our vendors to wear masks, and our patrons. So it's hot.
Very
So
hot.
it's hot in 100-degree weather with wearing a mask, standing on concrete for our vendors, but they want the community to feel safe to shop with them. Some of our vendors have gotten creative and they've put up shields between them and the vendors. And we've also widened our aisles. So instead of you having your typical grocery store, 6-foot aisle, 7-foot aisle at most, we have 21-foot aisles to allow for social distancing. We have spaced out vendors an extra 6 feet apart. So really, if one's standing in the middle of their tent, the other one's standing in the middle of their tent, they're 16 feet apart because the tents are 10 feet.
Hmm.
So that it gives a lot of extra space in our market. Plus it's open air. So I wouldn't feel comfortable shopping in any other store right now, just personally, besides the market, just because it's open air and we're spaced out so much. So it's a great place to start because I know some people haven't gotten out, and they've only done grocery orders online, but it is a good place to start.
Okay. And I also noticed on the website that a lot of the vendors have added, or maybe they had it already, I'm not sure, but they've added an online shopping option where you could just pick up there.
Yes, thank you for that reminder. So
Uh-huh.
they have added, we've added TFM Online. So TFM Online is a Facebook group, and that's where all of our vendors post daily. Well, I wouldn't say all of them, but the majority of them really utilize that group, and they all post in one place. So you're not having to visit different sites, different pages, and they'll talk about what they're bringing to the market, what you can pre-order, when their pre-order deadlines are. And what we did is we put that information into a spreadsheet and we put that onto our website so that it's just in one place. So if you visit www.tomballfarmersmarket.org, you can go to pre-order information, and then you can click on that link and it will bring up that spreadsheet that's updated often. And some vendors are delivering straight to your door for free, some are shipping for free, and then some connect with you at the market and they allow for pre-order pickups. So I would say 3/4 of our vendors are actually taking pre-orders and they are allowing pickups at the market so that people can get in and get out quickly.
Very good. That's some wonderful stuff that you're doing just to accommodate and get everything working, because I know it's there's just a huge benefit to buying local on both sides, on the
There
customer
is, and
side.
I wish that we could figure out a way to um, I wish we could figure a way. My dog is right here. He
Okay.
decided to take the foil out of my trash can during the interview. Um, but stop it. So I wish we could figure out a way to, have curbside. That was my initial thought, but it's too hard logistically, because each vendor has different guidelines with the health department, and it's too hard. We don't have the staff to go back and forth, and vendors can't go back and forth because they get so busy at their tents. So it's just not feasible right now. But we'll look into it if this goes longer. But I think right now we're doing we're doing really well. So I think that we'll be fine.
Very good. Very good. So, if someone was looking to rent a booth to begin to be a vendor, what does that process look like?
So they would initially go to our website, which is the one that I mentioned a few minutes ago, and they would click on vendors. So there will be an electronic vendor application. And something that people don't know about us typically is that we have your regular vendors that are there to sell products. But we also have a nonprofit vendor space because we want to support the other nonprofits in our community. We have an educational space for people who wish to educate. And then we have a community service space. So what those three spaces may look like is, obviously you have your regular space where people selling products. Then our nonprofit space, if they need to raise funds. So we've had some schools come out and they sell raffle tickets for their event and raise money that way because we have the foot traffic typically. So we usually have between 3,000 and 5,000 people come through our market. Not right now, but typically. So it's a great place for nonprofits to come. Then we also have our educational booth, and that may look like the library coming and reading to our kids. They've done that usually once a month in the summertime, and our kids love that. If they are working with kids, though, we ask they get a background check. And then we also have our community service booth. So sometimes we have businesses that they don't qualify for a farmer's market. For instance, if you're selling kitchen sinks, countertops, kitchen cabinets, those aren't the things that we're letting into the market just because they don't really vibe with the farmer's market, right? But we wanted to find a way to support other businesses in the community. So a while back, years ago, we started the community service booth where people could come, they could wear all their garb, say who they were. Let's say they were, I don't know, Subway. We don't allow franchises in the market. So let's say they wanted to get involved more in the community and show their face. So they would deck themselves out in Subway gear, hats, shirts, signs. They're not allowed to collect any information because it's about community service. So they would come out, maybe pass out fans, Subway loves you, and let people walk around with fans to cool them off, pass out free waters, grocery totes. Those are usually pretty common. But just, we found out that people either wanted to be in the market and couldn't get in as a business, or they just wanted to become involved in the community, and that was a way to start the process. So if you're a vendor that's selling, one of our mottos at our market is, our huge motto is, it must be handmade, homegrown, or handcrafted. So that's a big deal. Everything that is at our market has to be made by that vendor. It has to be made or it has to be grown. There are no exceptions. So it has to be from within a 150-mile radius because we surveyed people a couple years ago, and that's what they considered local to them. And if that changes one day, then we will change our radius. But as of right now, the Tomball people have spoken, and that's what they were wanting. They will go and they will apply on the site, and then we typically meet every 2 months to review applications. We usually have a lot of applicants to review. So my advice to anybody that's applying is to be patient because it takes a while to get into our market. And we may look like we have empty spaces, but those are usually paid for. They are usually taken by permanent vendors. But since we are known for having a waiting list, what we also implemented a while back was a fill-in vendor list. So whenever we have people that are absent, I will send out an email and say, hey, I know that I have this many spaces on this week, this many spaces on this week, and who wants them? And we'll allow people to come in, sell, and I encourage them to give out their business information, and it gets money in their pocket while they're waiting. We tell them to make sure that they are vending at other markets. Please don't wait on us.
Right.
And let's see, if you're a farmer and you apply with us, then we actually conduct a site visit. A lot of people don't know that, but we will go out to the farm. We will inspect the farm. We want to make sure that a farmer is not just going down to produce row, grabbing produce and reselling it at the market. That is actually very common in the farmers market world, and a lot of people don't realize that. So we really strive, yeah. So when you see different pop-up stands, farmers markets popping up, you do have to be aware of that, because people will go and just grab produce and resell. So we will go inspect, and we will go back out if we have somebody request us to go inspect, and then we will go out and visit every so often just to keep them on their toes a little bit. And yeah, we will allow them to resell from another small local farm. So if there's, yeah, for instance, my Green Up Growers, he's one of my farmers. His neighbor has the most amazing grapefruit tree, and it produces probably 200 grapefruit that they cannot consume themselves.
Right.
So as long as he has a sign where it came from, he knows his growing practices, then he can bring his neighbor's grapefruit, because it's also local, and that's supporting that family as well. So that's the only time that we're allowing reselling.
Wow. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for a long time. It
A
sounds
long
great.
time.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I know a lot of people that that's just their Saturday morning fun time. Is to get out there and talk to people from the community, and just enjoy it.
And
Enjoy
we're
being out
so,
there.
yeah, we're so grateful for that as well, because, community is so important, and some people really truly don't realize how important community is. But I have heard so many times people that have returned for the first time after the pandemic started, and it's like a weight lifted off of their shoulders, and they were like, I didn't realize how much I missed
Missed.
this. I mean, it's just so important to connect with others, and the farmers market brings a new level of connection, because you are connecting with other people at a distance right now, but you are also connecting with the people that grew or made your items. And that's a different level of connection. You're investing in somebody. So, when you're directly looking at them and speaking with them, and you are handing over your money, you are feeding their family, which is a very different level of community connection and support. So your dollars are just going right back into your community. That person is investing back into the community, and it's just this community cycle that is just vital. So it's a different level.
Wow, that's a wonderful thing you're doing.
Thank you.
Oh my
I love it.
goodness. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming today and talking to me. I know it's a little bit of a crazy time right now for you. So with all of the different changes and everything going on, but
It is, but I appreciate it. If I can spread the word about the farmers market and its role in our community of supporting small business owners. There's been so many small businesses that have come out of the farmers market in Tomball, and they started small and they grew from it. And it's just such a great place for small business owners to start, instead of just jumping straight into a brick and mortar. The success of a restaurant is 1 and 2. 1 and 2. It's awful. And these people are living out their dream, right? And for that many people to be failing at this dream is just so sad. But if they can get into a farmer's market, if they can learn their community, learn what works, get their kinks out, work their kinks out with such low overhead of $25 on a Saturday, and figure out what their community likes, what they don't like, what works, what doesn't, how to really hire and keep employees and work with them and train them, all while having that low overhead. It just makes such a successful transition over to a brick and mortar restaurant.
Mhm.
So it's not just jumping in and learning as you go by that point. So I really encourage people to start in a farmer's market, and eventually one day, hopefully we will grow even further. I don't know where we would go
Right.
because we really don't want to leave our space right there in Tomball. We love it. It's the perfect
It
place for
is.
us. When I dream of a bigger farmer's market, I dream of something that looks like the German Fest. That's just the streets are lined with people, and it's really amazing, like up north.
Yeah.
And maybe one day we'll be at that point. But as of right now, Harris County caps us at 51% farmers. We have to be 51% farmers to be a farmer's market. So once we have more farmers, we can add more people. So that's kind of how that works.
Very good.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. I think I don't have any more questions for you today, but I won't take any more of your time. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.